Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Tezos-artcast. This is episode 27. Really excited about today. If you're just joining us for the first time, Tezos-artcast is a place where we get to meet all kinds of different artists from all around the world who are using blockchain, Tezos specifically, and NFTs in combination with their art, and finding out how that is changing the way that people release art, interact with their audience, and also, more importantly, discovering, kind of what makes these artists who they are. So the focus is on the art, but there's a lot going on with this technology of NFTs. And so we're a place where we try to explore kind of all of those things and get inspired to create more and meet new people. So welcome. Drop a comment, say hello if you're just joining us. And yeah, I hope everybody's week's been good. I know it's always an eventful week in the crypto art space. There's always new projects being released. There's always new artists joining the community. So it can be a little overwhelming sometimes, but that's okay. We just gotta. That's what we're trying to do, is kind of sort through the craziness and pick out some of the stuff that really moves us. So let's see. So I did want to highlight today, we do have our website up and running. It's been up for a while. Big shout out to NFT Raider in the chat for always being super helpful and helping me get this going and giving me pointers when I need it. Appreciate you, buddy. But we've got a great spot to explore. We do weekly explorations where it's just kind of during the week while we're between meeting people, where we look at a whole bunch of art. So the last one that was up, this is a good example. Takes a little while to load sometimes because Hicketnunk, well, it's a little bit slow. That's one of the main marketplaces on Tezos. So it's loading now, but you can check out all of the different weekly explorations to just get a nice overview of all kinds of different artists who are doing their thing on Tezos. We also have a 13 questions section, which we started recently, where we've interviewed, do text interviews with artists who maybe want to remain anonymous or prefer responding in English via text. So we've got Dead Marcelo was our first interview like that. We had him perform on the show. It was really fun. And then most recently, Francisco Skate, really cool artist that works with photos and illustration, kind of mashed up, and some video as well. I like to highlight the Punk Diary that we've got, we're hosting. So Punkdo is a Flygor is one of the more well-known artists, prolific artists on Hicketnunk and Tezos at the moment, with a couple of different projects that kind of span like stories interwoven with characters, RPGs. So this was the first project that he launched, and you get to be a punk. And anyway, read the diary to see what the role-playing game is like, and see if you can get involved. It's fun either way to follow along. And then we always like to highlight we have a little links. So if you're interested in discovering new stuff outside of artists specifically, we have some good links here, which it's time to update. And as always, if you'd like to support the Artcast, you can send some Tez our way. We have the Tez domain, or tezos-artcast .tez is our address to send Tez. Or on our website, we have a little buy me a coffee button. I got my coffee right here. Gotta stretch back for it. But Mr. Owl here wants to thank you in advance for your support. And we appreciate you just being here and hanging out. We love discovering new artists, and that's what we're about. And sharing the art love and community. It's a lot of fun. So either way, we appreciate you. All right. Let me set this somewhere. It won't spill. So let's see here. We've got a very special guest today. Probably doesn't need an introduction for a lot of you, but this gentleman was one of the first artists that when we started the Artcast and we started our weekly explorations, it was the first time exploring Hickok and exploring NFTs for me where I was emotionally moved by a piece that I had seen. So it was a very striking moment. And I remember talking with Good Times about it on the show, one of our first, and just kind of trying to figure out what was going on with the techniques. And I am so excited that he's agreed to join us today. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you and we'll get to know. Patrick Tresset.
Hi, Jeff.
Hey, how are you? Am I saying it right?
Yeah, you can say whatever you want. I'm not bothered.
Okay.
Hello, everybody.
Welcome. So Thank excited you. To have you. Oh, man.
Pleasure.
So you're joining us from Belgium?
Yeah, from Brussels.
From Brussels. Excellent. What's the weather like in Brussels right now?
It's okay. No, today was sunny and yesterday was raining. It's autumn, but quite a nice autumn.
Right. That's one thing out here in Las Vegas, we don't get much of an autumn. It's either really hot or really cold, and the space in between, it's beautiful weather, but we don't get a lot of trees, we don't get a lot of rain, so the color changing beauty of autumn is kind of lost on us, unfortunately. But
you're in Las Vegas. Oh, I thought that you were in LA. So it's Las Vegas.
It's close enough. We get a lot of visitors from LA. It's like a second home, but cheaper.
Yeah, I nearly went to Las Vegas last year, or like 2 years ago, when I was going to, I had the flights and all that to go to LA and Las Vegas, but then the pandemic happened and got canceled, obviously.
Yeah, that squashed a lot of our plans, right?
Yeah.
But it gave us also some time to reflect, hopefully, and kind of maybe refocus on what we want to do and where we're going, right?
Yeah.
So I just want to give you an opportunity real quick to introduce yourself and, give us a little background, where you're from, and just a, quick.
Quick?
Yeah.
I'm pretty old, so it might not be that quick.
That's okay, too. That's okay.
No, so obviously I'm Patrick Tresset, so I'm an artist. But I'm not only an artist working with NFTs. I have a career before in new media contemporary art. And before that, I was a painter. So I've been an artist for a very long time, since the early 90s, and doing things with computers and robotics, because it's my main practice. It's since 2000. Approximately, so yeah, I've been doing that for some time, and with the NFT is quite lately, because sorry, the kind of work the kind of work I did with a robot. So my main practice, which is to do theatrical installations that I exhibit in festivals and museums, don't produce digital artwork, but physical artworks.
Yeah.
So for me, the digital practice was a new thing that I did for the NFT.
Right. Now, when I was looking through some of your through some of your work and some of your performance pieces, and there was a quote saying that the way that you work with your robotic system is similar to the way you worked with painting. Could you expand on that a little bit? Because you like you said, you were a painter first before you got into the robotic systems.
Yeah, I mean, it's true at different levels. So in the way of practicing coding or working with robots, which is a lot of coding, except that there is a physical element. So things take more time because you are in the same time scale as us. When we work with a computer, things go very fast, but with robots, they move at the same speed as us. So anything you do takes more time. But I was talking about the fact that when you work on software, on coding, you can work in the same way as when you do a sketch or something like that, where you do, I mean, it's the same practice where you do something, it's not right, you look for something else that gives you some ideas for something else, and so on and so forth. And also I code deeply, so I don't really use ready-made frameworks. I code my own tools, so I'm really deep in the thing. That's what I meant by doing a bit the same way as a painter. And also the thing is that my installation, the robots that I exhibit, always make marks. So they always make drawings. So that's the other level where it's like a painter. So when I exhibit an installation, I set up the installation in the museum or festival, and then I spend a day tuning the robot until they do drawings that I find interesting. So I still feel that I am a drawer, even if I don't touch a pen. I mean, I can show a video of the installation.
Yeah, that would be excellent. I want to. I was just about to share also the. So the first piece that I was talking about in the introduction that really moved me, so that people can just see. I want to show this piece specifically. It was a study for masked portraits, Ho Yan Lam Grace from 2021, and like I said, when we were scrolling, we're seeing all kinds of different stuff, and there's these fun animations, there's cheesy cartoons, amazing generative stuff, and then all of a sudden there was this portrait. I'm having trouble loading it, but it should come up in a second here. But I was just blown away by what was going on. Like it looked as though there was thread involved. It looked like it was just something wholly different from anything else I was seeing. So it was a great shock to the system in the best way.
I think I have it no, I don't have it preloaded. I thought I had. But yes, I mean, I'll talk a bit about the technique I've used. So the thing is that when I joined Iketnuk, I had been looking at NFTs for some time, but for a lot of reasons, I didn't want to join the big platforms. And one of the reasons is that I didn't have a practice ready to produce digital images.
Yeah.
And so the work I'm showing on Iketnuk, it's something that I've developed since the beginning of Iketnuk. And even the tool, so I wrote the tool at the beginning of March, and the piece you're talking about arrived on the 15th of March, and it's just because I had finished this tool, which is based on the same system that controls my robot. And so all these systems, these tools that enables me to do animations, to do layering of different things. But the foundation is really the same as my robot. It's software that dates from 2009. The drawing systems that underline everything.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And it's based on the way, and it is even older than my robots because it's based on the way I used to draw when I was a painter. I was a painter before, and so it's just that I do some strong lines and then some scribbles for the shadows. And all my techniques, even now, all the work that I produce is based on that. I mean, it's a bit more complicated than that, but it is the basic things: lines and scribbles.
Yeah.
Just,
Now, yeah, I'd love to have you show those videos to show people kind of what's going on.
Yeah, I can show an example. So
and where
because it's difficult to sort of share my screen.
Now, also, I wanted to ask, you mentioned you were a painter, and that the robots came later. But were you? When did you get interested in coding? Was that something that you had done it because you wanted to do this robotic stuff, or
no?
Or is it something? Yeah.
So I was lucky. My dad was working in a factory, and he went to do a seminar or something like that about automatization because he was working in a factory as preparing the next line, and he got an initiation to robotics and to automatization. And during the seminar, he got given a computer, which was very basic. It was just a board with an hexadecimal keyboard.
Yeah.
And it was, I was 10 years old or something like that. It was 76. And I got the thing and I got hooked. It was only programmable in assembly code, but as a kid, you can learn anything. And, if you're focused enough, you can, you get into it and you manage to do things. So I started like that. So I really got into computing and to learn, with the spectrum and after with other stuff. And I studied a bit computing, but it was business computing. So I stopped and then decided to be a painter. And then I was a painter for 10 years. And then at some point I got blocked in my painting. I lost my way. And in the meantime, computers had evolved a lot. The internet appeared. And I had the intuition I could do something artistically with computers. So it started like that. And so we're talking now when I started again with the computer, the late 90s.
Right. Well, I love stories like this too, because it just illustrates the point even more how, we aren't necessarily one thing our whole lives. The things that we do can all build on each other, and starting out with business computing and then switching to art and then coming full circle back around to using the computing and the art, and that evolution. I think it's important for young artists to know that it's okay to evolve and change and move around.
Yeah, and I mean, artists in NFTs are actually quite lucky. Young artists to make a living, because even for traditional artists who are in galleries, because it's not, if you are in a gallery, it doesn't mean that you earn a lot of money.
Right.
It's a very few number of people, even people in galleries. And personally, it took me 20 years to be able to make a living from my work. So, it's with the NFTs, there are a lot of people who make some form of living or get some kind and it's great. I mean, it's great that people can go through that quickly.
Right. I want to circle back to that, I think, a little bit later. But I definitely want to. I want to show people these videos because I was watching them last night, and it's so neat.
Shall I share my screen here?
Yes, yeah.
Oops, share. Yeah. Oh, it doesn't. Oh, yeah, you have to share it. Yeah, so I'll switch. Yeah. Is it shared now? Because I don't
Yep, I have it up,
yeah.
but it looks like it's there we go. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm going to show, let me see. Oh yeah, I'm going to show first this one. So my kind of, the piece I'm most famous for is this one. So this one, I've shown it, I've exhibited 100 times around the world, and I always have robots with this. Are you getting the sound of the video? Or?
No,
No, but it's okay. We don't need the sound because otherwise it's off. Yeah. Yeah, it's okay. So this, so yeah, I'm better known for this installation. So it's an installation where a person sits in front of a number of robots who are going to draw the person. And the person sits there for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and get drawn.
Man, and all from different angles.
Yeah, from different angles, and the robots have different characters in a certain way. Some are more nervous than others. And when you sit there, you notice, because the robots from time to time look at the person,
Yeah.
and you really feel observed. And here you're going to see the reaction of the audience, which, I mean, of the public. It's quite interesting.
Yeah, that was something I started to pick up on watching the videos. I was curious what the response is from people because it's intriguing. Have you had any negative responses from people?
Well, not when I'm there, but I'm not. I'm not always there. But no. But I think people are polite. Occasionally, but it's extremely rare. People say, "Oh, how dare you use technology to replace us?" But it has happened, like 3-4 times in 10 years. So it's,
Right.
But I think people are polite also. They don't come to you and say that what you're doing is crap. So.
Right. Yeah.
But what is interesting is that the reaction of the audience is the same all over the world, with the same facial expression, with the same movement and things, with the laugh and things. Everywhere around the world, people have the same thing. It's very interesting.
That is interesting because I would kind of assume that, different cultures would accept it in different ways or react differently, but.
Now, after the intensity of the expression varies. If you go to Mexico or to Germany, the community is different. But yeah, I think. Shall I show another one? Or?
Yeah, please.
Okay, I'll show another one that is very different. It's more like theatrical and it's more like puppetry, but I like the video. Oh, but I could do that. So that's a classroom, as you've noticed.
Yeah.
So that was an installation sponsored by Tate Modern in London. I don't know. Wow. I think it was in 2017.
So are the students going to draw the teacher and the teacher's drawing the students or something like that, or what's going on?
But you'll see. No, it's a lesson. They learn to pass time and to comply. It's about compliance.
Right.
So now they learn to do vertical bars, they're just going to do vertical bars. Tuk, tuk, tuk. So now diagonals. It's doing diagonals.
Well, it's interesting too about like this system that you've got. I've seen a lot of pen plotters. And they're very precise and very they're meant to hit angles directly, like no wiggle, no wobble. And it's in all of these pieces, there's a wavering, and there's kind of a, like the paper here, the pad isn't laying flat completely, and the lines are a little bit shaky and different. That's intentional, it seems like.
Yeah, or like what they're doing now, you could not do that with a plotter. So, and it's all, and it's why I use robotic arms, because I like gestural drawings. So where the style of the drawing is dependent, for example, on the nervousness of the gesture and things like that, where you can read the history of the line, of the action of the line in a certain way. So each line is a memory of the action. When a line traced by a plotter is just the line, there's no more information than the line. Don't know if it makes sense. Let me just escape that. Let's. I'll stop showing videos maybe. Oh, I'll show one in my studio, no?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. Sorry, I like showing the videos.
Well, no, I think it's great to be able to see the
past is very present in my work. There's also a lot of biographical elements and memories. So that was where, because so I have series of installations. So I have got 7 series of installations, and for each installation I have multiple versions. And so this one is a vanitas, so the one with a skull and some elements that speak about life.
Yeah.
And that is a constant. And I've started a series with the NFTs with the vanitas also, but they are far darker than those. Those are quite funny. And that is also an installation that I regularly show around the, I mean, it's very often exhibited around the world, different versions. Okay, let's maybe stop sharing now. I'm not going to spend all the time showing videos.
Yeah, no worries. No.
Oh yeah, I have to bring you back.
Yeah, and watching that, I remember thinking yesterday when I was kind of going through these videos, I couldn't help but think about automatic writing in like the old spiritualist movement, and automatic writing, automatic drawing. And I'm curious if that's ever kind of played into any of this.
Yeah, I mean, one of the motivation to use robots to do drawing or to use computers, at some point in my practice as a painter, I got stuck and I could not be spontaneous anymore.
Yeah.
And I could not put emotions in the drawings. So it just, because you can be spontaneous, but at some point you realize what you're doing. So as a human, you can't be totally spontaneous in an artwork. But I was trying to achieve that, but I was, at some point I got totally stuck and everything looked really dead about what I was doing. And then I thought that using computers, I could go over that. And actually with robots, I totally go over that, because I do the program first, but then when the robot is started, I can't touch it. So it can't be more spontaneous than that. And also the robot doesn't know what it's drawing. So there is this kind of thing that the drawing are as spontaneous as possible if they're made with a drawing. They have this kind of... yeah, I don't have the pictures actually. I mean, I have a lot of drawings, but I don't have one handy about the type of drawings that the robots do. Because they look quite spontaneous in a certain way. Because they have this... The scribbling effect makes them look spontaneous.
Yeah, and for if anybody's watching and not familiar with automatic writing, automatic drawing, it's this idea that you allow a spirit or an entity to speak or draw through your body, and these spiritualists back in the day, they'd blindfold themselves and channel something, and so I always thought that was really interesting. When I would write, sometimes I would try to kind of not, free writing, but there's a spiritual, mystical aspect to it that has always fascinated me. And so, yeah, when I saw this, the robots doing their thing, I was like, wow, this is kind of a almost like a neo interpretation of that, what that like you were saying, that spontaneity, kind of that pure muse, being able to be free of your expectation and your artist's eye.
Well, actually, there's a Japanese roboticist in the late 80s who wrote a book titled The Buddha in the Robot.
Oh,
and it talks about the Buddhic nature of the Buddha, because obviously a robot hasn't got any desires or intention. So it's a perfect being in a certain way. It can't, and even as a Christian or something, a robot can't have sins because it hasn't got desires. So. But that is pushing it. No, but I mean, robots are used in India or even in Asia to do prayers. I mean, they are not robots, they're automatas. I mean, it's the same thing, an automata or robot. So there is a tradition of spirituality and machines and robots. It's not, nowadays, it's not, we don't have this link, but it exists throughout history.
That's really interesting. And when you said, I think about how in Christianity, angels kind of directly translate into messenger. They're like messengers, and to be like kind of computers, robots are relaying messages and information. More connections. Interesting.
It's
wow.
It's a question of perspective.
Right. How long do some of the robotic portraits? How long do those take? Is it varied by each robot, or?
Well, so at the beginning, I was letting them draw, so it could take 40 minutes or sometimes 50 minutes if I made some mistakes in my code, which happened.
Yeah.
And then they were going, but then for practical reasons, because in museums, they like to take appointments. So I reduced it to 30 minutes and no 20 minutes, because also I've optimized the movement of the robot so it doesn't spend too much time traveling between points. But so nowadays it's 20 minutes, 30 minutes to get better results. But generally, if I have an installation with multiple robots, so between 3 and 5, I make them stop at different moments. And generally, if it's an installation with 5 robots that was in the video, I make the one at the back stopping last. And that's very annoying for the person, because the person sits there for 20 minutes and they kind of... 20 minutes, nowadays it's a long time.
Yeah.
10 years ago it was fine, but nowadays it's very, very long, without checking your phone. It's, whew.
Yeah.
So you're there, and so all the robots have stopped, and also you can't see the drawing, so you can't see what they've done. Which is annoying. And then you have the robot at the back that continues to draw, and then it raises its camera, looks at you, and then do another line, and so you just expect that each movement that is going to sign and finish, and it's very annoying. The last one is very annoying. And it's by design. It's not that I like to annoy people, but it's part of it's a performance, and the person is acting in the performance, and in the same way the robots play with the person.
That's that's really I love that there's so much depth to the performance, and that it's truly like some people might view it and instantly just think, oh, that's a neat trick, like, oh, okay, cool, the robots draw. But when you really think about it and view it, there's a lot more going on.
Yeah, it's like that in videos, or the idea when there's an article written about a robot doing drawings, but when the person sees it live, it works. I mean, it really works on the people, because robots have this quality that people see them as puppet. I mean, it does the same effect as when you have a puppet. Yeah? You put a sock on your hand and you do that, and immediately it's captivating for the person. And the robots, it's the same thing. People react in the same way with robots, but we know that they are autonomous. So it creates this kind of cognitive dissonance,
Yeah.
And it really stops people. And so, I mean, it's now I'm quite addicted to use those things, because it's so easy to stop people and to get them to pay attention. And also the thing is that it's why there is an eye on my robot. It's because like that you can fake attention. So like that, the robot, when it draws, it looks at the end drawing and move at the same time, and then looks at the person. And like that, it gives the impression that the system, that the robot, the puppet, has an intention. Because if it looks and thinks, and it's very interesting. And but all those things are not things that I knew. It's whilst I exhibited, I noticed those things, and then I started to play with them and to control them more, to play with people. Because the first time I exhibited a robot, it was only about doing portraits.
Yeah.
And I thought it was only about doing drawings. And it's just when I saw the first time the people crowding around the thing and the queue forming and the reaction of people sitting, that I found out that there was really a space to explore with that. It's full of potential.
Yeah, absolutely. And to see that it's that kind of performance can grow like that is really a lot of fun. And one of my favorite folk singers, this guy Utah Phillips, in one of his kind of like folk rants where he's talking to the audience and stuff, he talks about how as a human being, that every once in a while you've got to mess with people. Like you got to shake them up a little bit and get them out of their comfort zone, whether it's, just saying something strange or acting in a interesting way or whatever it is, that it's a good thing to kind of make people sit up a little bit. Because especially today, we're so, it seems like we're so desensitized, or, we've got all the stimulus going on all the time. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. What I like and what I feed on, actually, and I've been missing because of the pandemic and there's far less exhibitions, is this thing when I see people looking at the work and you can see the child, you see, somebody a bit old looking at the installation, and you can see the same expression that a child would have looking at the work. And that's great. And then after they look at you and you see that, I envy musicians, because musicians must get it all the time because it's so direct, like music. Well, you are a musician, so you have this thing. But when you play live, it must be amazing because you give a direct thing to people, which artists don't really do that, because artists, you put a painting on the walls and you go away, and you don't have this direct relation with the audience.
Right.
You have it with the installation, because the installation, it's performance and theater, so you get this direct feedback from people.
Yeah, man. For anybody watching, I did drop a Google form in the chat. You can just fill that out today, and Patrick has agreed to give away a beautiful little piece from a new series that he's got coming up. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Oh, that's it's actually part of. It's actually some. Oh, actually, we can see the little robot in the background. I didn't do it on purpose, but it's behind me. No, behind me. Not behind me. There, you can see there. That's
yeah, there it is. Yeah,
that's a small robot. I didn't do it on purpose to leave it there. It's where I shoot my videos. It's a video of I can't remember the title I put, but there is a shell and a robot. I think I just said that it's a shell and a robot, and it's moving. It's not. It's a technique that I've developed recently when I did the series of Vanitas that I've been releasing recently. That are, Vanitas, it's a skull and some elements speaking about life. So that's a piece.
If I can blow it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Very cool. And if you want to pick this up, there's a Google form in the chat. Just head over to that and fill out the form, and Patrick will batch send that over after the show. So that's cool. Then that's the little guy in the background, huh?
Yeah, it's a little guy standing on the ledge. And it's funny because it's part of some of the installation, and I'm trying to link my two practices, the NFT. So there are more and more overlap, and I often use the same. It's not props, the same actors in my installations, and the shell has been there for 6 years, I think, in my installation, and the little robot, I think it's only 5 years. Somebody gave it to me as a present when we were setting up an exhibition, and it was my birthday, and there was this beautiful toy shop in a town in France where they had a lot of old toys. It was amazing.
Yeah.
And then there was this little robot that was there. So since it has been acting in my installations from time to time, and now in the animations.
Do you have a short link to that by any chance?
Do I have a short link to that?
I'm gonna paste it again here, but
do you mean to the form or to the
forum? Yeah.
Yeah, I've got it here. Short form. Yeah, no, I haven't got it here.
Oh, that's okay. I think we got it in the chat now.
Ah, good.
I might have posted it before we went live, and it didn't post. Okay, perfect. It's working. Cool. Meyer Designs in the chat says, "I love that. Love it."
I'm doing my job properly.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Now, you mentioned that you have this robotic style. You have the software running the robots, and that was evolving. And around the time that Hic et Nunc had launched the NFT Marketplace on Tezos, it happened to kind of line up perfectly with this new or kind of an advanced part of the system, basically, or a different way of doing things.
No, I developed it. So Hic et Nunc appeared, and first I posted some drawings that I had that I did before, and it's during the first couple of weeks, no, the first week of Hic et Nunc, I wrote the system.
Oh, okay. So
the interface that was done during the first week,
with the intention of doing more
to produce work for that, and to start this series of mask portrait that I started before. Well, by necessity, because my installation with the portrait during the pandemic, I had to find ways to do portraits of people with masks, which I found very interesting because I have so many portraits of people without mask. Having the mask became very interesting. And also, it had a very important influence on the way we perceived others for a year or a year and a half.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, for me personally, it was very moving to just, I don't know exactly what it was, but it touched me deeply. And I think there was a lot of anxiety at the time. There was a lot of fear. And you can see it here. These are the masked portraits. And this one specifically was the piece that really just took me by surprise. And yeah, there was something so, the eyes, I think, just kind of, to me, I saw some sadness and some reservation. And then, like I said, the technique, we argued about it for a little while, whether it was thread or what it was. And we were fascinated. And it wasn't for quite a while until I realized that it was kind of being generated. So can you talk a little bit about the difference between the two techniques?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. A lot of people talk about threads. Personally, I can't see it at all. But lots of people talk about threads, and I really don't see it. But it's fine if you don't see that. I can't argue. But it is actually. But I think we saw some of the drawings in the video on the side or on the thing. So it is the same technique, except that so I've wrote this interface on top of the system that drives my robot, the drawing component. So that is based on theories of perception and computer vision and different things. And so this interface that I've built over it enables me to have a full control on the system. There's still some autonomous elements, but then I can control. So there are many it works by the different layers where I can control the color and the thickness of the line and things like that. But it's still based on the same principles of scribbles and lines. But it is on those ones there are a lot of layers overlapped. And it's what gives this impression. And those ones are really played with the colors. I would really,
And
from the color.
Now, in the same way, I know you mentioned that each of your robots in one of the installations has its own personality. Is this system in the same way where you can kind of decide like if it's a more nervous portrait or
I mean,
are you using that in these works specifically?
Yeah, I mean, you can, by doing things, but less so, because the thing is that with the robot, the style of the drawing comes from the embodiment, from the fact that it is in a mechanical body, in a physical body. So the kind of physicality of the movement, the velocity and things like that impact on the drawing. And it's why if you have a robot that is very like that, the drawings is going to look mad and a bit violent because the actions were violent. When it's a simulated system like this one in a computer, you can't get that. So you can simulate it and you can make the thing, but it is different. You would have to simulate physics and things to do it, but you can still, I mean, there are still tricks to make it more rough or things, but it is an impression. I mean, the same thing, I like to play with perception of people, because like when I say robots have different personalities, it's just in the movement. If you have a robot doing that, and people just think, yeah, he's a bit mad, or if it hesitates, or this one is a bit shy, if it raises his head slowly, it's those kind of things. It's like puppetry, and it's very easy to, especially that the robots are very stylized because it's only one arm and an eye that moves around like that. So it is easier to play with the movement because that's the only thing people can see.
Right. Now, do you? The question flew out of my head.
Sorry, I was talking too much.
No. You're doing great. This is wonderful. What's the largest piece that you've created with these techniques?
With the robots?
Yes.
So with the robots, I have some. Well, I don't know. They are not visible. I have some robots that are on wheels.
Okay.
That have two arms, and same thing, an eye and two arms, and they're on wheels. And with those, I've made drawings that are like, I think it's 4 meters by 3 or something like that.
Wow.
So that's quite big, but they take a very long time. They take 2-3 weeks to draw. But in the exhibition, it's like that. And those ones, they're in the exhibition space, and so they draw. And from time to time, they look around, and when they see a face, they focus on the face and take the face. And then the drawing is a mixture of all the face. It looks abstract, but it is a combination of the visitors that have visited the space.
Wow.
The drawings are like, quite organic.
Are you? I have to ask: are you building the robots as well? Do you have help with the robotics part of it?
No. I mean, I do everything. I mean, sometimes I have an assistant to help me when I have big jobs. But otherwise, no, I do. I do everything. I mean, I do all the programming and the building and things.
If somebody, if there was an artist that was looking to start working with robotics,
I would say no, don't.
Don't.
I mean, you have to really be mad to work with robots. That's true.
So it takes a little bit of extra drive, some extra servos in the brain to get that direction.
Sorry, I interrupted you.
No.
What were you going to say?
I was just gonna say if somebody was interested in working more with engineering, is there a good place to start? Or just dive into electronics, like Raspberry Pis, like, I'm just...
I mean, there are different ways. The thing is that it's easier now than when I started, because there are a lot of libraries available, and I mean, the maker movement and all the things linked to the Raspberry Pi or the 3D printers and things like that that's enabled to have a lot of softwares.
Yeah.
So it's easier. But after, it depends a lot on the components. I mean, the thing is to start and see, it's the adventure that is interesting. Because if somebody comes and tells you immediately what you should do to get the result, because sometimes I get people like, well, everybody gets that. You get messages that say, oh, tell me how you do it. Send me your software. There's no point. It's boring to do that.
Right.
Because what is interesting is the adventure, because that's where you're going to form your own style and where you're going to do something original. So the only advice is just to start somewhere, to try to build an arm and see. But it is now, there are some things to know. Like, for example, one of the difficult bits is to put the pen on the paper. It seems stupid, but everybody's got problems with that. So there are some tricks to do that. And after, personally, I use some things that are called smart servos. So there are motors that in each motor there is a small Arduino in a certain way. And it enables to have better control, because if you use the normal servos, it's difficult. So it took me a few months to find those motors at the beginning. But it's just, if you want to do robotics, don't use servo motors or for very specific things. There are those things that you can say to people to give them advice. But again, what is interesting is the adventure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is the failures and things. It's what gives the personality to the work at the end. It's not.
Right. Now, if you mentioned that kind of what led to your discovery or rediscovery of using computers, using this technique in robotics was an art block in your own personal work. And I think I know you kind of already answered the question by your response, but if there's an artist who is having a problem, whether it's a writer's block or just a block in their work creatively, do you have any suggestions for those artists on how to get over that block?
Depends a lot on people. I mean, it's to try something else. I mean, just try another way. Like try sketches. Don't try a different medium. Go to the museum. Go to galleries. To get the little click that makes it start again. Because it doesn't take much between having the drive and not having it. It's really nothing. And sometimes you just need a rest.
Right.
But I'm lucky that it doesn't. I haven't had a block for a very long time now, and I can't remember. But yeah, I mean, when I had my block, it was quite deep, and it took me some time to switch. But maybe it's that also to switch activity. But the thing, it's also to go out, go to museums, talk to friends. Just to get because often it's because you're too much in your thing, and your brain is not. The brain needs to be stimulated with new memories all the time.
Yeah.
And so if you're too much in your work and don't go out, you don't get this kind of influence and stimulation for the brain. and sometimes it's just a question of seeing new things. But it always comes back. I think that the blocks are not eternal.
Right.
That it always, you have to have faith. Yes, that's something very important in art. It's to have faith.
Have faith. Okay. Have faith in yourself.
Faith in art.
Faith in art. Yeah.
No, because there is this thing that if you become an artist, you have this intuition, which at the beginning might not be true, because at the beginning what you do is not good. I mean, it might show potential, but you have this intuition that you can do it, that you can be an artist. And it works a lot on that, on this faith that you can do it, this faith that the work can be there. There is this thing, I mean, for a lot of things, it's not only for the art, but it relies a lot on that, because sometimes you can do things and people can't see the point, or don't find it interesting. So you have to push and have faith. And also, I know that, for example, for the work I did with the NFTs, I say that I did the work for a week, the first week of Weekend New, but before I spent like 6 months doing a lot of trials and error where I was not getting anywhere. And my partner was saying, "But what are you doing? That's okay." And I said, "No, I need to keep going because it's not right. It's not right. It's not right." But I had this intuition that at some point I would find something.
Yeah.
But I had each time to throw away everything I was doing because it was not right. And then I did this portrait, the one you mentioned, and then I was right. And then my partner said, "Oh yeah, I understand what you mean by doing this thing where you do okay things, but you know that there is a point where it will happen, this thing, this thing where things come together and then you're okay for some time to do this service."
Right. Have faith in your ability as an artist and have faith in the art in itself, moving forward towards that end goal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now you mentioned, again, we got kind of going back to NFTs. Have you seen NFTs change the way that you mentioned that you've been in the art space for a long time, with galleries, painting your, building your career, and now kind of this NFT phenomenon and technology is blossoming and is everywhere, or starting to be everywhere. How do you see that changing the way people, whether it's artists go about creating, or whether it's
No, I mean,
do you see it as like a big revolutionary change, I guess?
I don't like the idea of revolution. I think there is a continuity in things. Things build on top of each other. And yeah, I mean, it does create something new, and it gives this potential earning to a lot of people and an audience to a lot of people who in digital art, and even not in digital art, because now there are a lot of NFT artists who are not digital artists.
Yeah.
And so there is that is amazing, because it just really gives the ability to a lot of people to have an income, and far more than in galleries. I don't think it's going to revolutionize the art market. It just creates something new. It is a new market.
Okay.
A new, ideally. So personally, I don't like the commercialism of the Ethereum platform, or even on Ethereum. There is that, but I don't mind. People do whatever. But as an artist, I don't see it as a way to sell my work or things, because I'm used to the other context, not of the gallery system, because as a new media artist, I was not in the commercial art system, because I never sold any installations. So there is that. But I see it with NFTs as potential of creating a new cultural activity. And you can see it on NFTs, where the activity of collecting that everybody does, you know, the artists collect a lot, the collectors and things, and, you know, it creates those links with artists, and it can really become a new cultural activity that people have. This kind of low-cost collection, or even higher cost, but with this thing where it's there is a bit of gamification, but not too much, and, you know, there is this potential of making, I mean, that is dangerous, but the possibility of having a speculative approach. But there is this potential of creating a new cultural activities if we manage to get more audience from a new non-crypto background.
Right.
And it is coming. I can see on the people buying that there are people who are not from crypto, who just come in because they are interested by the work. And yeah, so we are working in this way. You know, I have this project called Alter N. We've been working on this idea, and it is this idea of trying to do that. But we'll talk a bit later about that. But yeah, about the NFTs. No, it has a lot of potential. But I think because we are not going to change the art market, and the market is centuries old, and it is very strong, and the collectors who buy physical works, they have their habit. There is a personal relation with the gallerist or with the intermediaries and things like that. It is very important, and there is this, it's like luxury goods and things. And
Right.
there's no reason to change it. You know, sometimes you get the NFT, oh, it's far better, it changed all these problems of the art market. Well, it's not, I was going to be rude, but there are a lot of other problems created by the NFT market. I mean, it's not that healthy either. You know, it's
Sure.
There are some very good things, but there are also some things that are caricatural, but it doesn't matter as long as there's also some good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a good perspective to be out there, because it is a bit of a crypto bubble, you know, like a social bubbling effect where, you know, there's a lot of excitement, but there are a lot of new artists. There are a lot of people who are younger, whether it's in their art career or whether it's, you know, they just found a passion in this space to start creating. And you're right that there's a lot of history behind the traditional markets, and to think that they're just going to go away, or that they're just going to be, you know, tossed aside by everyone that's been collecting the way they've been collecting for a long time is a little naive. But I think you made a great point that that it's a new way to collect. It's a new market. So it's kind of carving out its own space in the world.
No, and especially with on NFTs, with the editions, with the habit of editions, it really creates something special that you don't have if you have unique works. Because it enables you to sell for not much, it enables artists to collect other artists, so it creates those bonds between artists and those communities. And that is, I think, what is special about it. It comes from the edition, and the fact that there is no selection also. But it's true that, I mean, the NFTs have this thing of giving everybody a chance in a certain way, which in the art market, it's not exactly the same. I mean, it's still full of middle-class white people.
Right.
I mean, it is that. I mean, a lot is changing, really, hopefully, but it's still not. It's still quite segregated in this way. But no, I mean, that's the beauty of NFT, is that it's open. But I was thinking the other day that to really make, you know, like people want to make it in NFT and so get this kind of fame or hype or make a lot of money, you have to do a lot of work. Yeah, you have to adapt a lot and do a lot of strategic work to achieve this hype, this fame, and get very financially successful. Well, in a certain way, if you were making the same effort to get into the art world and galleries, the same amount of effort, maybe it will work. But the thing is that there are some codes and things, but you see what I mean is that,
Yeah.
But no, it's true that the gallery system is quite close, but what is, and I think it's something that I don't often hear in the NFT world when they speak about the art world, is they often think about the art world, the commercial art world as being the art world. The commercial art world is only a part. There's a big part which is a non-commercial art world.
Right.
Which is actually the small art spaces, independent art spaces, festivals, and things like that, which don't work like the galleries. And there are a lot of artists who live from that. I lived from that, with never selling anything in gallery, but having an existence in the art world. And so that exists, and there's, I mean, not a lot, but there are. It is a way that artists existed, and I think it's where that we can create a link with NFTs, and we can bring a lot of people to NFTs from this ecosystem, which is non-commercial art world.
Yeah, I think that's I have so many people that I know locally here who are just so talented and kind of live on that edge of, they're not in big commercial galleries, but there's a bar that displays artwork every first Friday. There's a couple of smaller galleries that do the same, and they go out there and they hustle and they share their work on Instagram and have connections to little print shops. And I think I agree that I want those people in the NFT space so that they can have access to another audience. It's not that I want them to change everything they're doing and only do NFTs, but to be able to say like, hey, like there's a lot of great opportunity here, and this is another audience that you can connect with and bring more value to what you're doing or connect with more people. Yeah. So what is your new series about? Actually, wait. Before that, your film series.
Oh, yes, the film noir. Oh, yes.
I looking at that, I thought that was really neat. I'm curious, kind of what inspired that, and
what inspired it? Oh, I can't.
Film noir. If you could show or share.
Yeah. I'm going to share. Oh, where am I? Oh, yeah. I'm getting lost with my term. Yeah, I'll share that. Share screen.
Real quick, NFT Raider asked, did you try to let a robot draw a robot drawing a robot drawing a... Have you gone deep down the rabbit hole in that way?
No, I got robots doing robot parts, so drawing an arm, and I got also robot drawing a drawing that it made before and drawing it again and again and again until it disappeared.
Nice. Okay, cool.
So almost. Oh yeah. Which one is it? Yeah, it is one. So can we see? Did you share the screen? Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah. So that's the Film Noir series.
Yeah.
So the thing is, it's all my work. I use technology and I show robots and things like that. But all my work is about humanness.
Right.
I try to represent what is specific to being human. A bit at the and it's what I do with the robots, with the portraits of people, and even the robots are certain way representation of humans because they draw and only humans draw. And so there is that, and I love portraits, as you might have noticed, because it's mainly what I do.
Yeah.
And so, and I was looking for material, and I started to do research, and then I was watching an old American movie, and I thought, oh yeah, maybe there are some that I can use that are in the public domain, And actually, there are a lot of film noir from the 50s in the public domain. And so I found this movie, Too Late for Tears, which is a beautiful title. And I saw this actress and the thing, and I thought, oh yeah, I can capture those things, and you can really capture those emotions and things. And because she's an actress, the expressions also are stylized. And you have the different elements, and the story is quite dramatic, and the light is beautiful because it's part of this film noir thing, and it's a dark story of. And so I really found it interesting, and then I started to work on those animations where also I play with the motion. So the motion and the movements are also stylized. So it's not only the drawing, but also you can see that there are some overlaps between different movements. You can see it more in this one here. And so those are experiments in animation. I like to tell stories also in my work. And so this one, I produced it really as a series. So there is a beginning here, the beginning, and there are different scenes that correspond to different scenes in the movie.
Okay.
And then it arrives, and the thing is that this woman, well, I'm not going to tell the story, but she kills a few people for a suitcase full of money that they got by mistake. So she killed, and actually, I mean, even a man kills himself because of her. I mean, she's not, and you can see that she's quite calm here, and here she's quite civilized. And then you can see here that she's kind of getting a bit nervous.
Yeah.
Here she's quite tough. And here it's a panic, right?
Right.
Here too, it's not good. You know, that is before the one at the bottom. And here, that's just before she's going to. So there are a lot of people. She has a gun in her hand, and she walks backwards. She trips on the suitcase full of banknotes, and she falls back off the balcony. And the last scene is her on the floor with the banknotes around her hand. It's quite dramatic. It's a beautiful story. And I like to play with that, with this storytelling thing in the images, because even each little thing with the movement, it's like a little story. And it's like with the installation, there's always this kind of self-contained short story.
Right. Yeah, and a real femme fatale there.
Oh yeah, this one is what is called a femme fatale, and it was I can't remember her name actually. She was very famous at the time, this actress. Now we don't know her anymore. I mean, her name didn't stay, but she was a big star at the time. Great actress.
And Tokami in the chat says the film noir series is one of our favorites. Yeah, it is really neat. It is really cool.
Oh no, this studio. Did I stop? Oh, you stopped sharing for me. Oh yeah, that's it.
So yeah, did you want to talk about the newest project that you're working on?
Yeah, yeah. I have this thing I have to say. Oh yeah, I need to share my screen and I'll show you. So it's a continuation. Actually, behind me, you can see one of the installation. So you saw in one of the video I did this still life with a skull. So vanitas. Vanitas is a theme or a genre of painting from 17th century Netherlands, Flanders, Flemish painting, where you have a skull and then some elements that shows the pointlessness of life or of luxury in a certain way.
Yeah.
So based on this principle, in a certain way, a vanitas with a skull doesn't talk about death; it talks about life.
Right.
And all the elements around the skull talk about life. So it's in the same way you look at your life in the thing. So it enables really to tell story. So the latest series I've been working on, so share screen.
So it's kind of the premise is like it's almost a meditation on on one's life.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, you can do it on other people's life. So,
Right.
because normally, you should try to find something that is a bit universal, so people can relate to it in a certain way. But the thing is that I have this idea that if you go the deepest in your personal thing, the most universal it gets. But that is a weird idea. But, because at the deepest, we are all the same. We are all humans, so we have this core that is common to all of us. So if you can go down to this core, then it's kind of universal. Not really universal, but people can relate to things.
Yeah.
So I did those animations. So you always have the skull and the little pillow there that I use in my installation. So it's really linked to my other practice. You can see the shell there that is in other installations. That is also in the little gift I prepared for this evening. And then you have different scenes that tell stories. But then I like to have things that are open to multiple interpretations.
Right.
But and also you can see on the third one, I don't know if you see my cursor, but on the third one you see the counting, with the lines and the tally marks.
Yes.
You can see that I also use that in the other performance, the other installation, because I really like those tally marks because they symbolize the passing of time and the kind of boredom and waiting for things, which is what life is about. You have to spend time until the end and try to not be bored. But then, there is this kind of there is something unavoidable about life in a certain way, and those things are a bit like that. But after, it's open to interpretation.
Yeah, these are great, man.
And
I'm just staring at them.
and so those are made with the same system I use for the mask series. Just used in a different way. And I started to do those GIF animations that I really like, actually, because you can really work on each frame of the GIF. Each frame is an artwork in a certain way, and then you have the animation. I really like that, because a lot of people think GIFs are not great, but they are, because there is this. It's really a frame by frame thing, and it's quite interesting as a medium.
Yeah.
And also there is this thing to be able to do things that you can watch many times and it still works. On the brain, which is another constraint that's quite interesting.
Now, with a series like this, and with some of your other NFT work, is there a desire or a plan to bridge kind of the performance and the digital work?
Well, I also have physical NFTs, so NFTs with physical things, where I send the drawing to the person who purchased the NFT. But those are just drawings, they're just drawings produced by my robot.
Yeah.
Now, I've had a plan to do performances linked to NFTs, because I had, during the pandemic, I did those remote performances where people would be, at the time it was in South Africa, in their flat, and they were sitting in front of their computer, and in my studio I had an installation drawing them.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And so this kind of thing could work, I think, with NFTs, but we still need to think about it. But we have an installation, an exhibition planned next year in Bordeaux, in France, and I think it could fit for that. Because, those kind of things, you need to do them right. So it takes time and attention. But yeah, there is a plan to do that. It's not straightforward.
I look forward to being able to feel comfortable traveling again and being able to hopefully see one of these installations in person.
Well, actually, at the moment, I know on the moment I have one in Arizona.
Oh, really?
And in Wonder Spaces in Scottsdale, and there's going to be one in Austin. They haven't set it up yet, but it should be in the next month or so in Austin. It's part of it's with Wonder Spaces. I don't know if you know this company. They exhibit new media work.
Wonder Spaces in Scottsdale, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to have to make a little road trip, I think.
Yeah. So you will experience. So they've got an installation with 3 robots that draws people there.
And how long is that running? I'm curious if you know offhand. I can look it up, but
Yeah. I don't know when because it has been there since they could install it during the pandemic. So it has been there for a year, for more than a year. I don't know when they'll take it down because it's very, very popular.
wow. Well, that's great. You just made my day. I think I'm looking forward to my next road trip now for sure. That's exciting. And then you said in Denver, was it?
Austin. Next, it's going to be Austin. Before, it was in Philadelphia for a few months, and now it's in Austin, but it's not set up yet, and we are not sure when we're going to set it up. But yeah.
Oh, that's great. So there's some stuff going on stateside and in Europe. So if you're watching from anywhere in the world, something's coming up.
Yeah, in the next 2 weeks, actually, it has been quite quiet because I was really working a lot before the pandemic, but because it was all in public spaces and things, and so I haven't had many exhibitions. But now suddenly I have 10 installations to prepare for in 3 weeks.
Ooh.
So
you're going to be a busy man.
Yes, suddenly, and they are going to be shown all over the world. So it's quite nice, simultaneously.
That's exciting.
Yeah, nice.
Now, are there some artists that you've really connected with through the NFT space that are kind of like favorites, or maybe not favorites? That's maybe but just that you're excited about having discovered.
Yeah. I mean that was one of the amazing thing about Ticket Nuke. It's we arrived here and we realized that there were all those artists around doing amazing work.
Right.
Because you didn't see it before. Because Instagram, it's not the same. People don't show the same thing. It's not the same relation to the work. I mean, there is something that it doesn't seem as artistic because it's on Instagram. It doesn't. There is something about it. But there, and so you discover all those artists doing great thing. And of course, there are some artists that I like, and actually, but they are all, I mean, I can give some name. There's the thing is, so they're going to go back to Alteren, because actually the group of artists on Alteren are mainly people that I like the work and what I call artistic friends, when there is this connection with other artists.
Yeah. And
you collect the work and and there is this kind of conversation. You don't know the people. You know the people by their art. So it's not them. I mean, it is a part of them, and it's quite beautiful this relation. So there's Anna Malina, there's Katia. I can't remember her last name. I mean, there's a lot of people, and actually, most of the people on the first people I invited to Alteren were people that I really loved the work, and where I thought there was an artistic approach that was not similar to mine, but with in a certain way a link to the art, to the non-NFT art world, to the traditional art world in a certain way, in the way to approach the practice and to show their work. And so you can see the list online. If you go on the Alteren Twitter, there's a poster with all the names and all all those are the artists are really like from Ikentnuk. After there are other artists that are like, I know them from before also. But there are so many to name, it's difficult. There's so much, there's so much excellent work on Ikentnuk. It's quite amazing.
Now so then the altar hen was that, sorry, I think I got myself derailed by talking about the film noir series.
Okay, sorry.
But the altar hen, is that the series with the with the skulls?
No, altar hen.
No, that's different.
Yeah, it's so altar hen.
Okay, let's talk about that, because I don't want to
skip
over that.
Because we've been posting and we are launching tomorrow our project. So it was, I started to think about that. There was a time on Ikentnuk where it became very bad, very commercial and very speculative in a bad way.
Yeah.
And it was bad atmosphere. There were people, I'm not going to tell the stories, but it was bad speculation, and
right.
You could see the manipulation. And then I really got, and with some marketing things that were really not what I thought would be suitable for, at least for my artistic practice. So because I came from another world.
Yeah.
And I thought, we should do something about that, to do something else. And so I talked to those artist friends. I said, shall we do something? And so we grouped ourselves and we started to kind of coordinate our Twitter posts and things like that, to not have to do the repetitive thing yourself. That's kind of mind-numbing and not good for the ego, You feel like you feel like you're in a meat market or fish market saying, "Oh yeah, buy my fish," and blah blah blah. It's like, you're an artist. That's one.
Toss the salmon. Toss the.
So that's and we started to talk, and at the same time I was talking to a French businessman, VC, etc. We had those conversations about NFT, about Ikentnuk that started when we started to look for clean NFT platforms and so on. And so with this group of artists, we started to work on an idea, and then we say, we should do an exhibition. We should do something, and so a site that, and then we started to work on this site with the idea of the site. So in strong collaboration with Diane Dribray, that was running the Icathlon also, which is quite well known. So, and then other people for the graphic design, like Andreas Rowe and Patrick Jamora, for example. And I can't name everybody, but we're a core group, and then another group of artists around. And we've been working on this project at the beginning, it was a website with some exhibitions, with the idea of putting the focus on the work, not on selling. So not making a catalog of things where it's a thing, and it's based on our experience of exhibiting in galleries or more in museums or festivals and things like that, with a focus on the work. And so we got this grant from this foundation called Immaterial Future, a Viennese association that pushes toward this new cultural activity based on NFTs and things like that, with the dematerialization of culture. Which it's very interesting. People will find links and all that around, on our alter hand feed. And so now we didn't realize, but we made the kind of small market, the small NFT market, but with this idea that the work comes first, and the artist story, there is some background and things like that, and it is really presented in as clean way as possible, with the possibility of looking at work as if they were artworks. and we are launching that tomorrow. So we are 20 artists, so there are 20 solo shows, each with 3 to 4 pieces. And we've just, I think it's almost ready. We are opening tomorrow, so it should be ready.
Oh, that's exciting.
And so tomorrow we have this launch at 12 noon UTC.
Okay.
And there will be a panel about the art, NFTs and the art. And the idea, we are trying to promote this link between the non-commercial artwork and the NFT, because I really believe that there is a potential for festivals, curators, small contemporary art, small museums to use NFTs to reach new audiences and also to get new revenue streams, because with the effect of the pandemic, the cuts, I mean, in Europe for culture are certainly going to be decimated, well, anyway, cut the funding for art. And also festivals, it's the same thing. They've lost a lot of money. So having new revenues and things, NFTs, I think, can bring that. But obviously you need to, and they can also bring new audience to NFTs. So it can be really both ways. And so that's what we're trying to promote with that. And so we'll have a panel tomorrow of specialists talking about that. And it's going to be about, so it's a 2 hours event where artists are going to speak about their work. There will be this panel, and then we'll have 3 rooms where people will be able to talk to us, Diane and me, about our ideas and how they can be used in their context, in the art center or festivals, and also one where it will be more technical about NFT, and the other one to talk with the artist.
Excuse me, where can people who are watching view this panel?
So there is a link on Twitter, on the Alteren thing. I could put, hold on, I'm looking. Let me. Oh yeah, here. Because it's in the special. Yeah. I'll post it in the chat, yeah.
Perfect.
That's
okay, perfect. Oh, hey. Excellent. And I will throw it up here. All right. So for anybody watching, just reposted the link to the Alterhen launch and panel discussion tomorrow at noon UTC.
Yep.
Perfect. And
yeah, I wanted to say sorry for my team members that I forgot to mention, like Zaki and others. It's not that I forgot, but I have a blank.
no worries. And then you can find the Twitter handle at Alterhen.
It's spelled like that. And but I mean, the thing is that it's nice because I think it's since the exploit, it had a good effect. I think the exploit on the Iketnuk.
Right.
Kind of, it's not cleaned up, but things became more. I don't know. Yeah, it kind of cleaned up. It made yeah. I don't know. I think it had a good effect on Iketnuk. I don't know. What do you think?
I definitely think so. What you're referencing, the way NFTs work, there's a smart contract or a bit of code that that posts. It mints your work, connects it to the blockchain essentially, and then there's another contract or another bit of code that posts the work to the marketplace and allows for the selling and trading selling of the piece. And there was an exploit, a hack that I don't recall exactly what the hack was, but it was a vulnerability that was pretty serious, where someone was able to get into several accounts and like lock those accounts up or sell a bunch of work. And it was a pretty big deal. And so Hic-et-Nunc, the marketplace, had to shut down. Meanwhile, the hacker is kind of taunting and, saying like, you should have figured this out, like in different chats. But like you're saying, it had this effect of instead of driving everybody away completely, I think there was kind of almost like a beat where everybody took a breath, and there were some elements of the marketplace or interactions with the marketplace that did not return, that were negative. But the people that stuck around in the meantime, while they couldn't participate in selling on the marketplace, kind of got together and figured out other things to do, and kind of waited for the problems to be solved by developers. And I think it was like one of those watershed moments where, with new technology, you can't, something's gonna happen, something's gonna give, and you hope that the code is gonna be perfect every time, but that's just not the way that code works.
Never like
that. It was I agree, it was an important step in like kind of the evolution of the culture and
and all the tools appeared around. There is something beautiful about the Hic-et-Nunc ecosystem and what has developed.
And I think it also allowed maybe people who weren't familiar with some of the other marketplaces to be able to visit those and see kind of what's going on with Calamint or ByteBlock or some of the other platforms that were kind of in the background a little bit more. So Hic-et-Nunc still has a special place. There's nothing like it. But I think those platforms got a little moment to say, hey, like, we're over here too if you're interested, And I've met a lot of artists who are doing, more experimental work with Hic-et-Nunc, and maybe they're one-offs, or they're a certain style of work with Calamint, or kind of experimenting. So it's interesting to see all the different effects that it's had in the space.
Because on Hic-et-Nunc, because it's, on Calamint, because it's so cheap to mint. There's no selection, there's nothing. You can't really experiment, and it's very easy to have 5 accounts, 10 accounts. I think I have 5 or 6. So that I start something, I start a series, and then I start another one. Because all the work I show is quite experimental, and that is a nice thing. And because there's no barrier to experimentation when you are on the Ethereum platform, because of the gas fee. And also the kind of selection thing. There is this thing where it's not conducive to experimentation. It was at the beginning, actually. The platforms were similar to Hic-et-Nunc at the beginning, where you could feel this energy. Because I've been looking at the crypto space for a long time, and at the beginning, when I looked at the first time at the super rare at the beginning, there was this experimentation and this energy that was very interesting. Very similar to Hic-et-Nunc on less global, but it was
right.
Because that's also the beauty of Hic-et-Nunc is the globalness also because of the low cost, the fact that a lot of Brazilians, Argentinians, Cuban, Malaysian,
every corner of the globe is.
yeah, Indonesia, and it's like also now I've seen there's a Thai group also that are joining. I mean, it's amazing. It's beautiful.
It is. I can definitely say that like starting this podcast, like I've talked to more people from around the world than I ever would have otherwise, and it's been such a nourishing thing for me to just be able to connect with different people and also hopefully connect the dots between artists and make people more aware of again that you're not just a Twitter profile and get to see what's behind the art. It's been so fun.
Yeah, that must be quite interesting. Yeah, because there is this thing with Twitter. I mean, because on the other social media, you have a lot of information about the person. On Facebook, you get the family shit and all that. On Instagram, also in a story, you get something that what the person wants to show you. On Twitter, not at all.
Right.
On Twitter, it's about the ideas you put up on the small text and the picture you put, but not many people put pictures of themselves on Twitter. So it is always about the idea or what they want to express. And it's very different, but you don't have a clue about who are the people who are posting. I mean, physically or the age or things. And on NFT, it's amazing because you don't have an idea about the age of people.
Yeah.
And sometimes people, I mean, it's just, I say that because I'm in my 50s, but sometimes people are so young. But you don't realize because you have this abstract interaction with people, it doesn't matter. And then you realize and you think, oh yeah, that's funny. Especially among the crypto collectors, because a lot of the crypto collectors are not that old, but because you have this interaction of the collector who buy a lot and things, so you think, it's very
right.
interesting.
You have the picture in your mind of who this person would be in your world.
And it's different. No, it's very interesting. It's. I mean, those phenomena are very interesting to observe.
They really are, because I know I've dealt with that a lot in my own personal journey, just in life, just the way I grew up, and I always see artists and musicians, like, even though I do consider myself an artist and musician, like I always perceive other artists in a very, like, I elevate them to a very high status where it's almost, they're not humans. Like, it's just kind of like this, like, veneration and this adoration for these people. And so it's very intimidating a lot of the time. And my wife is always there being like, don't worry about it. They're just people. At the end of the day, they're just people. And no matter how many times she tells me, I'm always racked. My nerves are racked. And then after a few minutes, it's like, oh yeah, I've been a bartender for a long time, and that's helped me a lot. Take that anxiety down a little bit. And yeah, at the end of the day, everybody throws up in a toilet at some point.
There's that. They are the same. I always think that there is the same type of people in different activities, in different social contexts. You have people who are, into profiteering. There are people who are generous. There are people who do this, do that. There are different characters, but you can go into the billionaire style or the artists or, working class, and you have the same types of people. Artists is the same. They are not, the artists are not special on that. I mean, that's the thing. It's what I was saying about this humanness thing. There is something very common to all humans, and also those kind of characters that certainly have always existed. You can imagine that prehistoric people already had those kind of characters of, the different types that we know. But there is a thing about being human that's quite interesting for that.
It is. It's fascinating. And I think I love that your work and your art has evolved to show and play off of that humanness. And yeah, so I'm looking forward to seeing your work in person for sure. And I'm excited too. The Alter Hen launch tomorrow is really exciting, and I especially hearing the story behind how it kind of came together. I'm looking forward to seeing its evolution as a group of artists, because I think that's something that we still, the NFT world is very young, and like you said, there's a lot of opportunity for growth, and there's a lot of opportunity for it's wide open right now. And so it's up to us to, as artists, as creative people, to shape that future. And
it's very new also, and so the thing is that often there is this idea that the model to follow is the existing model. For example, with the current collectors, with speculation, with the way of the price increasing, of selling things immediately and things, the model that has worked very well on the Ethereum platform, but it's a human-sold model. You know? It doesn't mean that it's the only model that will work, and there would certainly be different models that will work. It's like in the movie industry, you have the big studios that do blockbusters, and then you have the small independent cinemas, everywhere in the world that do their movies, find their ways. And certainly with the NFTs, it's the same thing. There will be different economic models that will emerge, but there's not this kind of, that's the way to do it, and that's the only way. I mean, maybe there is, but we can't know yet, not after a few months of success for the other.
That's right. And it seems like, I think we maybe talked about it on a former podcast with Thor from Argentina, about kind of like the black hole effect of crypto Twitter, and just feeling like, how has this been 7 or 8 months? It feels like a lifetime already. But that we connected it somehow. A friend of mine, we're talking, and it's like Einstein's theory of relativity, and if it's like gravity is energy condensed, and that's kind of like a black hole, time standing still, this crazy idea. But it was the fact that we're putting so much energy into collectively into crypto and Tezos and into Hicket Nunk, into creation. There's so much energy going into it that time slows down. And I thought that was so fascinating. It's wild. We're on a time traveler journey.
Yes, but there is this idea that that your brain slows down if you create new memories. So if you have a boring life and do the same thing every day, you take the same path every day, your brain doesn't create new memories. It just does the same thing and doesn't. But if you do new things, then you create new memories, so it slows down your impression of time. So it's what you are saying in the same way, because there was all this intensity in the Twitter thing with all these activities, those new artists, this stimulation and thing. Maybe that. No, and also, it's true that the NFT thing is it's very hectic. It's this rhythm and the thing, the emotional thing, because it is linked to money and this earning, not earning, and and it's disheartening if you don't sell, all this kind of thing makes it quite emotional. So it creates this intensity that is, it's quite interesting all that.
It's great to be a part of it. I don't know where the journey's going, but I'm along for the ride, and I'm excited about it. So
it's interesting. Yeah, even if it stopped, it doesn't matter. If it lasted 2 years, 3 years, and then it disappeared, it would still be this thing, this adventure. there is the thing with about the adventures, the unknown, and it also what was nice about being at the beginning of Iketung, because you are also around at the beginning or quite soon on Iketung, and it was nice because the platform was very clunky at the beginning and all the development and the drama and the thing, and there was this kind of really an adventure thing. Now it's a bit slower thing, but there is still those occasional dramas and things.
Yeah. Well, Patrick, we're about towards the end of the stream. We've got like about 10 minutes left. I wanted to make sure if you had anything else that you wanted to talk about, that I give you the opportunity to, because I tend to ramble a bit. So I want to make sure if there was anything else you wanted to touch on, that we do that.
Well, me too. I can talk. We almost talked 2 hours non-stop. Wow, just not bad. No, I can't see. Can't see anything to say. Yeah, tomorrow join us on the Alterhen event. That would be nice to have, like a party, an opening, and the thing is very beautiful that we've made. Otherwise, keep going and be healthy and sane, and yeah.
And I think one thing, if there's anyone joining kind of later in the show, Patrick said, if you're having an art block, to have faith in art, and have faith in that you're gonna in yourself, that you're gonna get to the vision that you have, and just keep going. That was an important little chunk there. I took that. I'm holding on to that one.
Good. I think it's for everything. I mean, it's what makes us keep going, and it's the faith. I mean, it's not the religious faith, even with this intuition that things are going to get there. It's great, and focus also. For the art, you need the focus. That's right. Even if sometimes it's a focus that goes like that, but you need some form of focus.
And I dropped the Google form in the chat just one more time. So if you joined us a little later and aren't able to see the whole chat, if you want an original piece from Patrick, he's sharing that for viewers of the show. So fill out that form and you'll get one of his fantastic NFTs in your wallet. So yeah, I really appreciate you taking the time. I know you're about to get real busy here, so I appreciate you taking the time out to talk with us.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for inviting me. I had a great time. No, it was good. Thank you very much, Jeff.
Thank you, and I look forward to keeping in touch, and I will let you know when I visit Arizona too, because
tell me about your experience, or post something, and post your portraits. I don't know if you need to book the portraits. You should check, but I think
I'll look into it. All right, great. Thank you, Patrick. We'll see you next time.
Bye, everyone. Bye.
Bye. Well, guys, thank you so much for hanging out. We didn't get to do a lot of exploring today, but I think we explored the mental aspect a little further. Sometimes we do a little exploration of Hikit-Nunk or Calamint and view what NFTs are out there, but we'll be dropping a new exploration blog post. So just keep an eye out for that. And then we'll also be posting the feature of Patrick on the website as well. So fill out that form. Thank you guys for joining us. Again, I couldn't do this without your support, so I appreciate it. Or I could keep doing streams, but it's really nice to have you guys watching. And let me know who you want to see on the show, and I will reach out to them and we'll bring them in. One last thing, I made a little thing for the exploration, and I'm going to share it, even though we don't have an exploration today. So, with no further ado, exploration video break. There we go. So trying to evolve and continue to add things to bring the show into more just do more fun things. Anyway, thank you guys again. We will see you soon. Keep an eye on Twitter and keep an eye out for new updates next week. At the moment, nothing's booked, so stay tuned for that. We'll announce it as soon as we have something. And yeah, I'm Jeff, co-host or your host for the day, and I'm signing out. So peace out, peace, love, and art. Bye.